The Jim Crow era, spanning from the late 19th century into the 1960s, was marked by systemic racial segregation and discrimination against African Americans in the United States. Following the Civil War and Reconstruction, Southern states enacted Jim Crow laws to enforce segregation in public spaces, schools, and transportation, solidifying a culture of inequality. This segregation was further solidified by the 1896 Supreme Court case Plessy v. Ferguson, which upheld racial segregation as constitutional, establishing the separate but equal doctrine that justified widespread discrimination. Jim Crow laws encompassed a range of discriminatory statutes. They mandated racial separation in public accommodations. Facilities like hotels, restaurants, and theaters displayed whites only and colored signs. Education was similarly segregated. Black schools received far less funding, rendering the separate but equal doctrine a cruel joke. Voting restrictions further disenfranchised African Americans through literacy tests, poll taxes, and understanding clauses, effectively stripping them of political power and rights. This institutionalized racism had a profound impact, leading to widespread discrimination and violence, including lynching, perpetrated by groups like the Ku Klux Klan. Despite these harsh realities, African Americans forged resilient communities and rich cultural expressions. This resilience would soon fuel organized resistance against Jim Crow. A key turning point came with the Montgomery Bus Boycott, ignited by Rosa Parks's arrest in December 1955 for refusing to relinquish her seat to a white passenger. The boycott saw African Americans in Montgomery, Alabama, unite to avoid city buses, a powerful statement against segregation. Under the leadership of a young Martin Luther King Jr. and the Montgomery Improvement Association, the boycott lasted 381 days, demonstrating the community's determination and financial impact on the bus company. The successful outcome of the boycott was in 1956, when the U.S. Supreme Court ruled segregation on public buses unconstitutional, inspired further activism. This momentum was echoed in the Freedom Rides of 1961, where civil rights activists challenged the lack of enforcement of desegregation laws in interstate travel. Starting on May 4, 1961, black and white activists boarded Greyhound and Trailways buses, asserting their right to sit together and use the same facilities. Their journey was met with brutal violence, particularly in Alabama, but media coverage of the riders' struggles garnered national attention and sympathy for their cause. The resistance demonstrated through the Montgomery Bus Boycott and the Freedom Rides laid critical groundwork for the broader civil rights movement. As activists gained momentum, they fought against the oppressive Jim Crow system, leading to significant legislative changes. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 were monumental victories in the quest for racial equality, dismantling the structures of segregation that had governed the lives of African Americans for decades. In conclusion, the Jim Crow era stands as a dark chapter in American history, characterized by legalized discrimination and violence against African Americans. Yet this era also sparked a powerful resistance that reshaped the nation's civil rights landscape. Today, the legacy of Jim Crow continues to resonate, reminding us that the fight for racial equality and justice remains an ongoing journey.